Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Cavendish Farms Community Event Center in Tyne Valley, PEI for this Sunday afternoon matchup. These teams' final ones before the Christmas break here this week. We have the Basin Armada in town from Bedford, Nova Scotia today. They are here in Western PEI to take on the Western Rebels in this Nova Scotia Under-16 AAA Hockey League matchup here on the High Button Sports. My name is Luke Diamond. It's a pleasure to bring you this matchup today, the second of back-to-back games here between these two teams, duking it out for fourth place in the 12-team Under-16 AAA Hockey League here in Tyne Valley. Yesterday, Basin went into the game when these teams met here last night in Tyne Valley. Basin went into that game 1 point ahead of the Rebels for fourth place in the league standings. But Western made a statement coming out with a 5-1 victory here on home ice. They have been hot on home ice all season long. They're 9-3 in their home barn here this season, the 2025-26 hockey season. But it's always a good game between these two teams. They've met twice so far this year. First, they met in the Monktonian semifinals last month on November 15th. The Rebels won that game 5-3 despite trailing 2-1 after two periods. Big game for some of their key players such as Isaac Goody and Alice Callahan. They had 2 goals in that game each. Of course, the Rebels went on to win the Monktonian, and they met here last night, a 5-1 Rebels win. It was close. It was only 2-0 Rebels after two periods, and it was 2-1 at one point. But Western held on here in their home barn. Sam Surratt, third in the league in scoring. He has 31 points in 20 games. He had 4 of those points last night, including a goal. His line mate, Tobin McEwen, fourth in the league in scoring with 26 points. He added 3 points to that tally last night. As we prepare for one between these two teams, only separated by a point in the standings, as we tune in here for the national anthem in Tyne Valley. The Western Rebels heading into this hockey game with 26 points. They earned their 12th win of the season here last night against the Basin Armada. But the Bedford-based Armada aren't done with them yet, as they have the second half of this doubleheader to play here this afternoon in Tyne Valley. So let's meet our starting goaltenders in the net in the white uniform. To your right, Austin Pickram gets to see the Rebels offense for the first time this season. He's 6-3 on the year, including a .229 goals against average. That's good for the 7th best metric in the U16 Nova Scotia Hockey League. And to your left, in the black jersey between the pipes, it's Hudson Lynch. He's 6-4 on the season for the Western Rebels. His .928 save percentage is the 3rd best save percentage league-wide. As the Western Rebels are in the green and the black to your left, and the Basin Armada in the road whites to your right as we get underway here in Tyne Valley. the Western Rebels briefly down in the Armada zone here to start the first 30 seconds of this hockey game. But now Basin will try to settle things down in front of their own bench. That is off the leg of Jack Brady, wearing number 12 for the Armada. His line will head off the ice as Basin gets a line change in. The Rebels starters still out there as walking up with that puck, and the dump in is Tobin McEwen. McEwen finishing off his shift, as mentioned off the top of the broadcast. 4th in league scoring. And second on the team, only to line mate Sam Surrett. McEwen, you hear a lot about him here on this Rebels team in Tyne Valley. Really has the hockey IQ and the hockey brain that has been helping to drive this Rebels offense all year long. As Ace Otway walks in on the backhand, a chip, a big first save for Austin Pickram. The rebound by Ty Collins, and he tried to let the shot go. Looks like the net was knocked off, and we get a whistle for the first time in this hockey game. Ty Collins just had the puck there. He's known as that defensive stalwart for the Rebels, as one of the overagers on this team. He had a goal last night, part of that 5-1 win for the Rebels. As the faceoff will come to the right of Pickram. Players from both sides lining up on the incorrect side, and we see Sam Surrett lining up at the draw for the Rebels, but will lose it to his Armada counterpart as the visitors will get it up and out to the opposite blue line, with Basin having to start again back toward their own goal line. There's Cohen McNeil, the big defender, as he turns it away. Here's a shot along the ice. That was Joe Arsenault right out front and camped out on top of the crease of Surrett. Another shot, and that hit the post. Ty Collins looking for his second in as many games here at home, and he came just inches away from getting the scoring started for the Rebels. And a big shift for Western to open this game. They'll get a line change in. Coming up the other way, that's Zach Fougere. Fougere, the leading scorer of this Basin Armada team. He has 8 goals and 22 points in 18 games this season. That's the 7th best point tally in the Nova Scotia Under-16 League. It's dumped in by Rebels. They have to touch up on the onside there. Cross-ice pass is successful to Fougere. He tries to find Seth O'Leary, cutting up the middle, but it's off his stick and he misses. O'Leary with a very impressive game last night. He had 1 goal, an absolute beauty of a shot early in the third period. The lone goal for the Armada last night, but has really been making an impact so far in this weekend doubleheader on the road for the Armada. Luke McGilvery with the outlet pass, the right shot defender, gets it as far as center ice, is turned over to Jack Brady of the Armada. Now cutting right toward the middle of the ice, that was Owen Chisholm, now going to recover his own pass in the corner. And it's thrown in front, trying to get that out front to O'Leary, and that is knocked away. Keeping it in on the line, good move by Cooper Makinen, and Makinen will lose it that time on the second attempt. On the counterattack, it's Caleb Smallman, but he is a step over the blue line, and it'll be an offside against the Rebels, and the teams will get a change in. This will be each team's final game before the Christmas holiday this week. But on Saturday the 27th, the Rebels are back here. It will be an all Prince Edward Island matchup. The Eastern Dukes are coming on up the Tyne Valley. Always a good game between those two teams. Of course, the Dukes and the Rebels, the only 2 island teams in the Nova Scotia Under-16 League. And you never know who's going to win between those clubs either. The Dukes took the best of 7 Prince Edward Island final last year. They needed 7 games to knock off the Rebels. The Rebels going on to win the Atlantic Championship afterwards, beating the Dukes on the way as the Rebels got in with the wild card berth. That tournament being held in Port Hawkesbury, Nova Scotia. That tournament is coming right here to Tyne Valley on the weekend of April the 7th at the end of the season. The Rebels will try to win back-to-back Atlantic Championships here on home ice in Tyne Valley. About a 25-minute drive west of Summerside here on Prince Edward Island. As the face-off is won by the Basin Armada, the play will go right in down low. Patiently, Hudson Lynch lets that puck go. The shot up front, and Lynch with an excellent pad save. A big first one here this afternoon for the Rebels netminder. That was a crucial one, and a great opportunity as well for Sebi Surrett wearing number 8 for the Armada. A grade A chance. Couldn't pound it home, though. That's dumped back in by Carter Pino, the defender for the Armada, but that gives the Rebels time to go up, and there was the stretch pass that was intended for Hudson Pino of the Rebels. He missed, but he beat out the icing call, so Western will take it down into Basin zone. Pino gets open out front for the Rebels, but walking it out of the zone himself. Good opportunity by Tobin McEwen, but he's stopped up, and the Armada will take it down the other way. Zach Fougere will throw a hit in the corner. He knocks down his Rebels challenger, and we're going to get a whistle. The arm is up from the back official here, and I think we're going to get a call here against the Armada. It's an interference call. And Zach Fougere will be escorted by the linesman to the penalty box. And for the first time today, we will get a look at the Western Rebels power play. Interference call against Zach Fougere. Just under 5 minutes into the hockey game. And you got to look out for this Western Rebels power play. They're the second best in the Nova Scotia Under-16 Hockey League, clipping at just over 23%. As walking in, here's the shot. A great look there for Samuel Surrett, trying to keep his hot streak going on the score sheet here this weekend. He had 4 points yesterday against the Armada. He's had their number here this weekend. Also having their number is Isaac Goody, who throws that centering pass across for Surrett. Goody had a goal and an assist last night. Here's the shot. That's off a deflection, and sticking that away was Pickram, the knocked that over to the corner, and that will be cleared by his Armada defender, and it's down the ice. And for the Armada, they have a strong penalty kill as well, too. At 87.8%, they have the fourth best record, down a man or two this season. They actually went into yesterday's game with the best penalty kill. The Rebels had a couple of power play goals, though, so knocked that down a little bit, but it's pretty close up in that metric. 1:04 to go on this first Western Rebels power play of the afternoon, as it's in behind the net. Tobin McEwen and Surrett play catch behind the line. McEwen tries to stuff it in, and that was very close. The ref had to come right around there on that McEwen wrap attempt there. But covering that up just in time is Austin Pickram, and he will earn his penalty killers a change. 14:07 on the clock here in the first period. No scoring yet. The Western Rebels with another 53 seconds to go here on their power play. Walking in to take the draw is Caleb Smallman for the power play unit, the second unit here for the Rebels. And it's a tie-up and down toward the Armada end, but Smallman will swoop in to get possession back. The pass was intended for Oatway at the line, but a killer for the Armada will force it down to the opposing blue line. Going for a skate is Hudson Pino. Pino with a lot of speed, not the biggest player on the ice, but definitely makes things happen. Dodged a couple of checks there. Gets it deep enough for his Rebels teammates to set up. That's up to the point for Brody Noy at the top of the slot, quarterbacking this Rebels unit. But it is shot out once more by the Armada with 15 seconds remaining on this penalty. Swooping down, take that is Zach Goody. Zach Goody gets it up to Ace Oatway, swooping in toward the close side boards, hitting into the Armada zone. Coming out with that puck from behind the line is Caleb Smallman. Smallman to the point for McGilvery. Cross-ice pass that was intended for Brody Noy, but it's a turnover as the penalty expires. Jumping out of the box is Fougere for the Armada, and we're back to 5-on-5 here in Tyne Valley. Fougere's going to go for a skate. Is separated from the puck, and walking in is Hudson. Here's a shot, the backhand, trying to tuck that around the goaltender Austin Pickram, but he knocked the net off in the process. An excellent chance early for Connor Hudson, but he is denied, and we'll get a face-off just to Pickram's right. 12:53 left in this first period early on. These teams only separated by a point in the standings. It's a crucial matchup. Rebels 2-0 in the season series, them and the Armada. After today, they will meet one more time. They play in Bedford on January 25th. That'll be their final meeting of the season, notwithstanding any potential matchups in a tournament like, I don't know, the Atlantics being held right here in Tyne Valley. The Armada in contention for that top spot of the Nova Scotia teams anyway. The top Nova Scotia team right now is the Cabot Highlanders, who came within a win of the Atlantic Championship last year on home ice. They lost, of course, to the Rebels. But the Armada right with them, only separated from a few points. In the standings, it's very tight. The St. John Vitoes are the first place team right now in the Under-16 AAA Hockey League. They have 31 points. Cabot Highlanders a point behind them at 30. They won yesterday against Dartmouth. As that puck comes over at center ice to Isaac Bungay of the Armada. He'll dump it into the opposite corner. His teammate Fougere will retrieve it. He tried to work it back up to his D-men, but it'll skip over the three lines in the middle of the ice, and Basin will have to start again. Here comes Makinen. Good alert stick there by Tobin McEwen, and he'll force it back to his line mate, and that's turned over. Here's the shot in close. Cooper Makinen stepping right in there, an excellent chance. And a player goes down. It's a Rebel. And Western will be heading back to the power play here in a moment. Slow to get up was Isaac Goody. He looks fine now as Basin tries to touch up. The arm is in the air from the official, and Hudson Lynch, the goaltender, has went to the bench for the extra attacker. And that is finally turned over. We'll get a stoppage in play. In fact, both referees have their arms up here. It was a heavy hit in the corner, and Isaac Goody was slow to get up there. The guilty party is Devin DeBay, who will head off the ice. It's a 2-minute minor listed on the score clock here in Tyne Valley. One of the officials will head over to the Rebels bench for a conversation. Not sure if they're pleading for a more severe punishment. It was a heavy hit in the corner. I can't tell you if the call was for boarding or perhaps head contact or something of the sort. I didn't see the signal from the official, but we'll get at least a 2-minute power play here, or less if they score for the Western Rebels, as lining up for the draw is Brady Allison for Western. Allison tied for 5th in league scoring. He has 23 points on the season. Isaac Goody, cross-ice pass coming to the back door with a head of steam with Samuel Surrett. That's why he's so dangerous for this team, as forcing that across the line for Basin was Seth O'Leary to get the puck out. Western has to start again at roughly center ice as Isaac Goody enters the zone. He tried to make a move there around the defenseman Carter Pino, but Pino wasn't having any of it for Basin, and he'll shoot it down the 200 feet. Stepping in to try and win that puck back is Brady Allison, and he gets it over to his teammate Goody. There's some good forechecking there on the penalty kill by Mason Auld for Basin, but the Rebels get it down. They have another minute 12 left in their power play. Isaac Goody holds the puck at the point, walking out with his McEwen. McEwen was looking for Surrett over on the far side of the ice by the half wall. Surrett tried to receive it again, but that was high up and over his stick. He'll get it back from a pass from below the goal line. Shot is intended toward the net. That was Daniel Pigeon throwing it in the direction of the Armada goal. Pigeon will hold the line again, throws across ice, but nobody is home here. Charlie Thompson has some time to clear it out. He'll get it to his defenseman, Lyndon Todd, but he can't clear the zone. Surrett will knock it down. McEwen in the slot, he scores! Tobin McEwen opens the scoring for the Western Rebels. That one will come on the power play, and it's the 1-2 punch of Samuel Surrett and Tobin McEwen that get the scoring started here in Tyne Valley. It's 1-0 Western. And that is exactly who you have to look out for if you're Basin here, trying to defend this two-headed monster of the Western Rebels. And McEwen, if you give him that much time and space, he will make you pay. As McEwen registers his 11th goal of the campaign, and the Rebels strike first here at home. Basin will take it right back the other way off the draw. It's Sebi Surrett for the Basin Armada. 2 Surretts playing in this game. One for the Rebels, Samuel, and then Sebi for the Armada, and it'll be Sebi Surratt with the puck there for Basin. He'll get it back to Bungay at the point, and that's off a pair of shin pads. Good positioning there from Joe Arsenault of the Rebels. Very quick player. He'll get it as far as the opposing blue line and get possession back for his Rebels teammates. Brody Noy working that up the point. Noy will get it back for a second. He was looking to pass that puck off to Hudson Pino, his winger, as the Armada will get it back in deep. Big forecheck here by Zach Fougere. He's been making stuff happen below the opposing goal line all afternoon here so far. Still early in this hockey game. Van Polgeest of the Armada looking for that backdoor pass to his teammate. It looked like Van Polgeest was going to the net. And that's who has the puck now. Trying to get that puck out. Lucas Van Polgeest will dump it in for Basin. Some of his line mates will go for a change, as will his Rebels opponents. Lucas Van Polgeest up the far side boards and going for a skate is Cohen McNeil. McNeil will lose it in front of the timekeeper's box. Intended pass down for Caleb Smallman, the big centerman for the Rebels. Oatway is hurting and is going off the ice for Western. He took a hit along the boards as that shot from Devin DeBay was deflected straight up into the air and will land in the corner to the left of the goaltender, Hudson Lynch. As the Rebels come out with the puck, here's Samuel Surratt with the big assist on that goal moments ago from line mate Tobin McEwen. Come back the other way, the counterattack. Here's Van Polgeest walking over the line, looking for that top blocker side corner on Hudson Lynch, but he will redirect that up and into the mesh for a stoppage of play. 7:49 remaining here in the opening frame of this matinee matchup in Tyne Valley. The Basin Armada trailing the Western Rebels 1-0. Tobin McEwen scoring moments ago on the power play to get the scoring started here in this Nova Scotia Under-16 AAA matchup here in Tyne Valley PEI. The shot is wide, and on the rebound, right on top of it, aggressively charging the net. That was Jack Brady right on top, digging for gold on Hudson Lynch, but Lynch covered it up. Lynch's Rebels teammates coming in support to force the attackers up off top of him even after the whistle went, and the face-off will come to the right of Lynch on the close side of your screen. The draw is won, a good face-off there by Connor Hudson. He'll get it back to Ty Collins, the defenseman. Collins will shoot that right up out of play, though. Collins, lone player on this Rebels team to be the hometown player from right here in Tyne Valley. Connor Hudson will take this draw once more for the Rebels and will win it again. 2 consecutive defensive zone draws, one by Hudson, but he'll have to do it likely one more time as another clearing attempt from the Rebels was deflected out. The Rebels trying to come away with 4 points here in this weekend. If they do that, they will move up to 28 points in the standings, which will bring them just one behind the Eastern Dukes, their Prince Edward Island counterparts based out of the eastern side of the island, Charlottetown and Montague. The Dukes also playing here this weekend, I believe, against the Martello Buccaneers of Upper Tantallon, Nova Scotia. But if they don't pull out the win today, the Dukes, that is, they will only be separated by 1 point in the standings, which would set up for a very entertaining matchup on the 27th here in Tyne Valley between the Dukes and the Rebels. Ever the rivals here in the Prince Edward Island segment of the Nova Scotia Under-16 League. As we get a penalty, the back official has his arm up. A holding call coming up against, I believe, the Basin Armada again. It'll be their 3rd penalty of the period. They've already given up a goal shorthanded on the last Western Rebels power play. And as good as the Basin Armada's penalty kill has been this year, they pay lots of attention to the defensive side of the puck. The Western Rebels power play has just been that good, the 2nd best man advantage in the entire league, only behind the 1st place St. John Vitoes. as Isaac Goody off the face-off win for the Western Rebels tried to make a move and get that puck back to his defenseman Ben Harris, but instead Harris will have to bolt the other side of the ice. It's a stretch pass up by the goaltender Hudson Lynch to the blue line. Isaac Goody will lose the puck again though as Lucas Van Polges comes in on the kill for the Armada, and he's looking for that far side glove post, but Hudson Lynch didn't have to make the save there as the puck went wide of the net. Rebels trying to buy some time here. Isaac Goody trying again get this puck up and out. Brady Allison, wearing number 71, on this man advantage for the Rebels, will try to get it through the neutral zone himself. He lost a handle on it though, got it all the way into the Armada zone. He gets a little help from a teammate there though. That's Tobin McEwen out there. McEwen scored on the last power play for the Rebels, with Surrett feeding him, and now Surrett looking for Goody that time. He hit the goaltender Austin Pickram right in the mask, but it's a one and done as his teammates relieve him, and the Armada will get a change in. Isaac Goody trying to make a move around the Armada's Joel Hakala. The Rebels now getting it in. 40 seconds remaining in this most recent Western Rebels power play. They've had 3 man advantages this period. Still a little bit of time left on this one. Taking it into the zone is Hudson Pino. Pino, very speedy player for this Rebels team, is taken along the boards there by Hakala. And that will lead to a clearing of the zone here for Basin. 15 seconds left in this most recent penalty to Basin, with the Rebels caught in behind their net. On the breakout, that pass came from Daniel Pigeon, as Charlie Thompson prepares to step out of the box. And we are back to 5-on-5 as jumping into the action is Zach Fougere for the Armada. Fougere tried to get that through the legs of Brody Noy, but he made the block and come back the other way off the bench is Caleb Smallman. He's going in 1-on-2 here. Makes a step around. He's tied up there. No call on the play as a battle ensues up along the boards. That was Cohen McNeil taking Smallman out of the play. Trying to make a move there and dodging the check was Connor Hudson, but Hudson was taken out of the play there as well. The Armada in a mad dash to try and get this puck out of the zone, and they finally do it. It splits the Rebels defenders. All the way back to get it is Ben Phillips. Breakout pass for Joe Arsenault. He throws the backhander up off the boards and down through the neutral zone for Samuel Surrett. Surrett threw a trickler in along the ice toward Austin Pickram, and he will cover up for a much-needed stoppage in play for this Armada team with 3:51 left in the first frame of this hockey game. It was a close call for the Basin Armada to get over here yesterday for this hockey game. There were high winds all weekend long throughout the Maritimes, especially here on Prince Edward Island. The Confederation Bridge was opened and closed several times yesterday due to winds. As coming around the net, here's Connor Hudson on the wrap attempt, and the whistle goes there. As the Rebels try to keep that pressure on here. But the Armada, as mentioned, coming over from Bedford, making the 3.5-hour drive up here to Tyne Valley PEI. For most of the day yesterday, the Confederation Bridge was closed to high side of traffic, even at some points to all traffic because of the high winds. But yesterday afternoon, the bridge finally opened up for them in order to get to Tyne Valley on time for last night's 7 p.m. puck drop. Even putting up a strong game for the most part. And they're hanging on to the 1-goal deficit here so far here in Tyne Valley early in this one. And a skate blade came out from under Ben Harris. He's struggling to get up as Van Polges breaks in for the Armada, and the play is separated. Ben Harris is fighting to get to the bench there with one working skate blade. You don't see this often in this league. As Harris tried to make the plays, desperately trying to get off the ice for a teammate. That blade is still lying there on the Rebels' blue line. He'll get it off to the referee on the side as Basin comes back down the other way. That might have to be something for the equipment staff for the Rebels to figure out here at the end of the first period, as Ben Harris broke the defender for the Rebels, broke up the pass there, but at the expense of his skate blade. Western will come in the other way. It's Hudson Pino first to that puck. He's knocked off it, though, by Isaac Bungay. Bungay got it over to Mackinnon behind the net. Mackinnon tries to go up against the grain there. getting it back to his teammate Bungay. Bungay, the short pass over to his winger, and that was intended for Auld, but he misses the pass. He was tired coming on into the shift, so the Rebels will take the puck. Broken up at center ice. Fougere breaks in for Basin. Fougere dodges the check and will get the shot off, but seeing that all the way through is Hudson Lynch, and he will stop the puck and cover up for a whistle. Bit of a crowd ensuing there as Fougere cut toward the net. After the whistle, so did Joel Hakala for this top line here for Basin. Rounded out by Sebi Surrett on the wing. Two of those players making up the top scorers for Basin. Fougere first on the team with 22 points in 18 games. Hakala has 15 points in 16 games. As pushing that through the legs was Hakala, the centerman. Getting that up and through. It's knocked down center ice by Bungay. Getting it back the other way for Hakala. Over for Sebi Surrett for the Armada, but good skates there by the defender for the Rebels to break up that play. It's in the feet of Surrett, joined there by Hakala helping him out. Hudson Pino sticks that away on the back check for the Western Rebels, and they will get it up into the other zone as the Western defenders change up with 1:45 left in this first period. Rebels hanging on to a 1-0 lead. Makinen going the other way, scores! Cooper Makinen goes coast to coast. What a goal. He slips it through the wickets of Hudson Lynch, and in the dying moments of this first period, the Armada tie it up here in Tyne Valley. He's happy about that one as the whole rink could hear Makinen, the defender. What a goal. It's going to be his 5th of the season. He's had a couple looks here in this period. He had a partial breakaway in the opening minutes of this hockey game, and this time he goes forehand, backhand, and slips it along the ice through the legs of Lynch, and that will even it up. So a brand new hockey game of sorts as we're tied up at 1 here in Tyne Valley. Daniel Pigeon on top of that puck. The centering pass was intercepted by Jack Brady. He got it up dangerously close toward Hudson Lynch's net. Deflected wise. Pigeon tried away again on the clear. Broken up by Brady. Forcing that in low is Seth O'Leary. Brady down into the corner to help his teammate there. Looking for O'Leary in front. He's got time. He scores! Seth O'Leary, his initial shot hit the crossbar and it went off the back pad of Hudson Lynch. And out of nowhere, 2 goals, less than a minute apart, the Armada take the lead in this hockey game. Seth O'Leary, his 2nd goal in as many games for the Basin Armada. He's been all over the place this weekend. As the penalty box opens up for the Basin Armada. They'll get another penalty here. Jack Brady is in the box. May have been an unsportsmanlike conduct as there was some rowing going on there after the goal was scored between a couple of Rebels players, it appeared, and some Armada players. Play comes to a stop here. The Armada getting the lone penalty here so far, and the second Basin goal is not yet on the score clock here. We'll see what's going on. Looks like we'll finally get the center ice draw. And actually Basin has 2 players in the box here. But it will be a 2-1 lead for the Armada. 2 goals less than a minute apart. Lucas Van Polges walks in. Good defensive play there coming back the last minute. Daniel Pigeon disrupted the shot as the Rebels come in on the counterattack. Brady Allison looking cross-ice there has come down the ice was Tobin McEwen. McEwen at the top for Pigeon coming in off the benches. Surrett, good quick passing there looking for Allison in the middle of the ice, but he couldn't get the shot off. Lucas Van Polges come back down the other way. He already had a look on this shift. It's a Rebels 5-on-4 power play at the moment. It's their 4th power play of the opening frame. They're 1 for 3 so far. as Isaac Goody takes it in the zone, tried to walk around Van Polges, but he didn't go with the puck as he was tired at the end of a shift. 10 seconds left in this opening period, which has really become entertaining very quickly. The Western Rebels open the scoring in the frame. Tobin McEwen, 1-0. But two quick goals late in the period from Cooper Makinen first for the Armada to tie it. And then only moments ago, Seth O'Leary with a beauty of a shot, his second goal on this weekend road trip for the Armada to give them the lead after 20 minutes of play here in Tyne Valley. It is 2-1 for the visitors from Basin. Stick around here on the High Button Sports as we will join you again in about 10 minutes after the flood here in Tyne Valley. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Tyne Valley here for the second period in this matchup between the Basin Armada and the Western Rebels. A very entertaining first period. Rebels leading for most of the opening frame after Tobin McEwen scored in the first half of that period. But all of a sudden in the final 2 minutes of that period, Cooper Makinen goes coast to coast on a beautiful goal to tie the game up for the Basin Armada. And moments after that, Seth O'Leary beat Hudson Lynch in the Rebels' goal to make it where it is now, 2-1 in favor of the visiting Basin Armada. And the Armada really looking to get a big win on the road here and not go back to Bedford empty-handed, although the road has not been as kind to the Armada this season. They've lost 5 of their 6 games. Of the 6 games they lost all year long, 5 of them have come away from the Greenfoot Energy Center, their home rink in Bedford. Meanwhile, the Western Rebels have been very successful at home, much like the Armada have been at their home, but the Rebels are 9-3 on the Cavendish Farms Community Event Center ice this season. In fact, it's been almost 2 months since they've lost here on home ice. They last lost here in Tyne Valley on November 2nd when they dropped their matchup against the Martello Buccaneers by a very close 6-5 score. Since then, they have been undefeated here in Tyne Valley. Overall, the Rebels have won 4 consecutive games. Their 4th straight game coming with last night's win against the Basin Armada here at home, 5-1. And Western has won 6 of their last 8 league games overall as they try to make their surge up the standings here in the Nova Scotia Under-16 AAA Hockey League. Right now they sit in 4th place, the Armada, a point behind them in 5th. But if Basin can hang on to this lead, they can leapfrog them. But there's still 40 minutes of hockey and maybe even more to play here as we get underway for the second period here in Tyne Valley. That's Samuel Surrett dumping that into the zone on the fresh sheet of ice here. For the Western Rebels, they get it down here on that first shift. Brady Allison out there on that line with them too. The Rebels stacking this line with their top 3 scorers. It's Tobin McEwen camping out in that slot. As the power play continues for the Rebels, the cross-ice pass intended for Surrett. Good setup there by Pigeon, but just fanned on the shot, and the Basin Armada will clear it down as there's another 15 seconds to go on this most recent penalty to Basin. The Armada have taken 4 minor penalties here so far in this game. None have been committed by the Rebels. So far in this hockey game, Basin's had trouble staying out of the box. In fact, yesterday they were assessed 4 different misconducts. 2 of those being game misconducts, one of them being assessed to their head coach, Matt Donnelly, who is not on the bench today, serving a suspension. As the Rebels tried to settle things down in their own zone, play has returned to 5-on-5, but the puck will go the length of the ice for a whistle and will come all the way back down to the Rebels zone as they try to dig their way out of this momentum hole anyway. It's a 2-1 game. As mentioned, there were 2 quick Armada goals to end that first period, which can definitely affect the ice tilt in this game anyway. Rebels had a couple looks on that most recent power play but couldn't score. They're 1 for 4 with the man advantage already, still relatively early in this hockey game. As good block there from Hudson Pino will force the play down the other way as Tobin McEwen will dump it in. And the Rebels forwards will make a change as the Armada come down the other way. Stolen by Joel Arsenault. He almost got something going there. And we got a whistle from the back referee. He had 6 fingers in the air, so you know what that means. Too many players on the ice. The Western Rebels are guilty of that. And for the first time this afternoon, we'll get a look at the Basin Armada's power play. Ace Otway will serve that penalty for Western. The Armada sporting a good power play, 15.8% this season. That's good for 6 in the league out of 12 teams. As the face-off is won by Basin. Cooper Makinen, quarterback in this power play. Over to Seth O'Leary. There's the 2 goal scorers going back and forth. That's off a body. Big pad save by Hudson Lynch early on this power play. Walking up to the top is Lucas Van Polgeest over to O'Leary. Now to Makinen, top of the slot. Far side, here's a shot from distance and another left pad save there for Lynch. Covering along the boards is O'Leary playing the top of that close side circle. Makinen winds up along the ice, the rebound. Another big save by Hudson Lynch. He's made a few big ones here with O'Leary jamming at the puck. Makinen, the shot off the side of the net. Rushing back along the boards to keep that puck in is Cooper Makinen. Over to Seth O'Leary, a walk in, middle of the ice, the shot. Good opportunity there for Lucas Van Polgeest camping out in that slot. Van Polgeest will come out for O'Leary now and head back toward the front of the net. Cooper Makinen at the top of the slot. Now from the close side, shot from Devin DeBay, and it's finally stopped for the whistle by Hudson Lynch. And some really good looks there for the Basin Armada, trying to extend their 2-1 lead and give them a bit more of a cushion. But we're seeing some really good goaltending here early in this game from Hudson Lynch. There's a reason he's one of the top goalies here in this league. It's .928 save percentage. That's the 3rd best metric in the Nova Scotia Under 16 AAA Hockey League standings among eligible goalies. Cohen McNeil quarterbacking this second unit power play for the Basin Armada, as Joel Hakala tried to take that right in onto Hudson Lynch's net, but he is stopped up on the block. The Rebels will come back out the other way. Here's a chance for Connor Hudson, in tight, short-handed, and that's a good save there for Austin Pickram to keep anything else from happening against the Armada. With 20 seconds remaining on this man advantage for Basin. Dodging the check as Sebi Surrett walked in, but he blew a tire there as he got tied up with Zach Goody, the penalty killer for the Rebels. And it comes all the way back down. There's the pass from Austin Pickram. He headed on the tape there of Hakala for a moment, but is shot back down, and that'll leave enough time for Asa Otway to step out of the penalty box. And we're back to 5-on-5 as the Rebels kill off their first penalty of the afternoon. Western traps it down in Basin zone. Otway is out there on the shift, but he is checked and knocked over as Owen Chisholm gets it up to center ice for the Armada. Chisholm retains the puck, going in on the backhand, cuts it, and that's kicked away on the pad, sliding across as Hudson Lynch to keep that out. He is ready for that rebound just in case it never got to him, but his Rebels teammates will clear it out to Basin zone. Now coming back the other way on the counterattack is Charlie Thompson. He's going to change his mind and hit the brakes. D to Lyndon Todd looking for that pass up along the boards, but his teammate takes a hit there, and Ace Otway will take it back the other way, trying to traverse the neutral zone for the Rebels, but he'll take the hit and go for the change. Western gets it deep into Basin zone. Some of these Armada players out here for a while, as Lucas Van Polgeest gets it up to the far blue line, and that is kicked off into the corner. The shot from distance easily turned aside by Hudson Lynch. Western come back down the other way, getting some back and forth action after that Basin Armada power play opportunity. Isaac Goody lets a quick snapper go from the half wall, and seeing it all the way through is Austin Pickram. He will freeze it for a whistle, and perhaps a much needed change for both teams here. Still 2-1 in this hockey game. The Armada had a power play moments ago and some really good looks, but early in the second period, Hudson Lynch between the pipes for Western has been keeping it at just that on the scoreboard, 2-1. It's a shot from distance. That was a seeing eye shot from way back as Austin Pickram covers up again. That one originating from the stick of Luke McGilvery, who let it go from in front of his own bench. And the face-off will come once again to the left of Pickram. Over on the far side, face-off dot. That's Isaac Goody taking the draw, but he's going to lose it to Joel Hakala for the Armada, and beating out that chase for Basin is Zach Fougere to avoid the icing. He tried to make the quick pass out front to his teammate, but didn't get anywhere. Now it's Samuel Surrett leading a 3-on-1 the other way. Surrett tried to go up and over the blocker of Austin Pickram, but he got his shoulder on it and he'll knock it out of play. What an excellent opportunity for Western, it was the three-headed monster leading it for that one for the Western Rebels. Of course, Samuel Surratt, Tobin McEwen, and Brady Allison, the three top scorers for this Rebels team this year, who also make up third, fourth, and fifth, respectively, in the league-wide point scoring, as Joe Arsenault of the Rebels wins the draw out there on that line with Connor Hudson. Hudson gave it away. Here comes Lucas Van Polgees trying to make a move around Ty Collins. Gets sticked off the puck, but the Armada buying some time in the Rebel zone here, sticking here to the outside. That swung down on the cycle for Owen Chisholm. Van Polgees has some time, gets it back to Carter Pino. Looking to work it back to Van Polgees. His pass missed. Chisholm trying to retrieve that puck against Ty Collins in behind the Rebels' goal. As Seth O'Leary works it back to the point. Here's the shot from distance originating from Carter Pino, but that is off a stick and wide. Settling that down along the boards. Ben Harris out there defending for the Rebels. O'Leary keeps it into the zone for Basin as they try to apply some pressure here on this shift. Joe Arsenault finally works it out, getting it up to his teammate Connor Hudson. Hudson will get it up to the blue line and he'll dump it in after taking a bump from his Armada opponent. Battle ensuing in the neutral zone. Nobody can quite get it until Allison got it, and we're going to get a whistle. We'll see just for what. Might have been a hand pass. Face-off coming in front of the Armada's bench here on the close side of your screen. We'll stay in the neutral zone. 13-10 left in the second period. Basin still leading by a 2-1 score. They had two quick goals about 50 seconds apart at the end of the first period. Goals from Cooper Makinen and Seth O'Leary. And that is the difference right now. Tobin McEwen scored earlier in the second period for the Western Rebels, as Ace Oatway dumps that in from center ice for the Rebels. Breaking that up, first on the puck was Mason Auld, but he'll lose it to a Western forechecker. As Hudson Pino curls out of the corner, tries to spin the other way, trying to shake Auld. He barely keeps it into the zone, but only for an extra couple of seconds. Pino will recover it at center ice, losing it once more, but back to the Rebels. Skating that puck into the zone is Ben Phillips, the defender, going all the way in on the pinch. And it skips out of the zone again on the Rebels. Taking it the other way is Seb Surratt for the Basin Armada, but that's broken up by Caleb Smallman, the big centerman for Western. Trying to swing that on net. He hit the side of the goal cage with that one, where he got a little bit of back and forth action here. Both teams playing a little bit disorganized here in the dog days of this second period. 8 minutes into the frame. Devin DeBay looking for that shot, but he swung it wide. DeBay is second on this Armada team. He has 16 points in 18 games played. As Caleb Smallman walks in, here's the shot. Isaac Goody tried to curl that back. He was looking for that toe drag shot, but he couldn't get enough height or positioning on it as Austin Pickram scoops that up for the save. With 11:41 to go in this second period. Basin trying to change the narrative of this season series with the Western Rebels. Last time the Basin Armada led 2-1 in the second period, it was in games between these two teams anyway, was in that Monktonian semifinal all the way back on November 15th. Is first on that puck, here's Joel Hakala. By the way, the Rebels won that semifinal game, scoring some third period goals to eventually win it and then eventually win the tournament. Austin Pickram with an easy save there. On the Rebel shooter, he'll force the face-off just to his right. Brady Allison taking that draw for the Rebels, but he loses it to Hakala of the Armada. Big defensive zone win for Basin. He'll get it all the way out to the Rebel zone, and Brody Noy has to start back up the attack. Back on Noy's stick as it's dumped in again by the Armada. And Basin will re-secure possession down the zone as Zach Fougere got the hackle. Here's the shot. Oh, hitting the post. Rebound off the side of the net. Lucas Van Polgeest almost buried the 3-1 goal for Basin, but he found iron with that one. And on the rebound, Fougere was not far from scoring on the second attempt. Fougere, of course, leading this team in scoring as Samuel Surrett takes it back the other way over to McEwen. Brady Allison jamming out of two right at the goal mouth. Jamming away McEwen, and it's finally covered up as through the chaos, Austin Pickram covers up, and a good opportunity for this top Western Rebels line here. They've had a couple looks in this period. They had a 3-on-1 earlier in the second frame, and right there they were scrambling on top of Pickram's crease. But the Armada get out of that shift unscathed. Great opportunities for both teams at different ends of the ice. Van Polgeest finding a post for the Armada. And a cover up there. The Rebels come away with that puck. Ben Harris keeps it in the zone. As the battle ensues at the blue line, Ty Collins will steal it at center ice, but only for a second as he takes a bump by Basin's Owen Chisholm. Seb Surrett dumps it into the opposite corner, and here come the attackers. Chisholm was first on the puck, but the Rebels get it all the way back out to the neutral zone as we hit the midway point of the second period. The Armada hanging on to a 2-1 lead, and it's been a thrilling one. We've had great opportunities at both ends. Some good goaltending from both sides as well. Hudson Lynch for the Rebels this period, especially early on the most recent Basin Armada power play. And in the last few minutes, Austin Pickram coming up with some timely saves for Basin as well as Seb Surrett skates in the zone. He curls from center to right and tried to throw it into the goal mouth. Owen Chisholm was waiting there, but it was broken up. Swinging up around the ice. Walking out is Seth O'Leary. He has the go-ahead goal right now for this Basin team. O'Leary cut to the net as he was preparing for that shot toward the net from Surrett. O'Leary back over to McNeil at the top of the slot. Now down to the circle. Surrett looking in the middle of the ice for O'Leary. He was cutting in, but he was defended well and nothing came out of that. Now taking on pressure at the line. Cohen McNeil trying to hold that line, but it was broken up, and his teammate Surrett will have to come back and relieve him back in his own zone. Now McNeil dancing around the red light center ice, and he will come in but a little over eagerly at the opposing blue line as his team goes offside. His teammates were going for a change there, and one person might have been a little over eager there. Face-off will come toward the crowd here in Tyne Valley in the neutral zone. Face-off won by the Armada. It's dumped in textbook by Lyndon Todd. Out to recover it is Zach Fougere. The Fougere line out there with DeBay, making up this first line for the Armada this afternoon. Joe Arsenault for the Rebels tried to dump it out, but he didn't have the time or space, and it's broken up. Arsenault on the second attempt will get it up across the blue line and out. Now chasing his own dump in, takes a bump, defended there by Lyndon Todd, the defender for Basin. Buys his D partner some time to clear it out as Charlie Thompson shoots it off the boards. Kept in, though, by a Rebels defender. Joe Arsenault throwing a big check and turns over the puck. Here's Pino from a tight angle. He had a little bit of daylight up over top of Austin Pickram's shoulders, as taking a big hit in the corner was Mason Auld of Basin, as DeBay tried to break that in over on the other side of the ice. Fougere looking out front, breaking into the play was Mason Auld, thrown in front of the net. It's going back and forth in front of the Western net over in their zone of the ice. As it comes to a stop, DeBay crashing to the cage again was Mason Auld. He's had a couple of looks there. Not quite getting the stick on it, though, as it's turned away again by Hudson Lynch, the goaltender. Thompson trying to drive that down right in the middle of the play is Hudson Pino trying to disrupt this Armada attack. It's been a good shift here for the Fougere line. And as Fougere taking away the puck again, going in one-on-one, the battle with Pigeon. and cleared up the ice, but kept in. There's a heavy shot from distance. Lyndon Todd fires it up and off the glass over the net. Fougere down the corner. These Rebels defenders are getting tired as they're desperately trying to jam this one up and out of the zone. And finally, with enough time, Hudson Pino will clear the zone, and his teammates will go and get a little bit of a change in, but the Armada are coming right back in with the puck. We got a couple new attackers out there too for Basin as Brady is jumping on it, but here comes Caleb Smallman. Some room, the shot, he scores! Caleb Smallman ties the game as he goes high glove on Austin Pickram. It's 2-2. And what a sigh of relief for this Rebels team. They were under some immense pressure in the past shift from Basin, but jumping right off the bench is Caleb Smallman, who will break in on the partial breakaway and beats Pickram high on the glove to tie this hockey game. Chisholm coming right back in with it for Basin, and now Seth O'Leary has some time and space. He tried to go high. He's looking for his third goal of the weekend series up here in Tyne Valley. He was denied that time though by Hudson Lynch. He's had some timely saves here this period, and that has really helped his team as Caleb Smallman got on the board. Smallman's 5th of the season. O'Leary on the backhand. He was right on top of the goal mouth and hooked and drugged down, and the arm is up behind the play. And Basin will go to the box here. Looks like it'll be a hooking penalty. And the Western Rebels will go back to the power play for the 5th time this afternoon here as we approach the final minutes of the second period, which has been a really evenly fought one. Basin getting a lot more chances, a lot more O-zone attacking time. But Western with the only goal of the middle frame here so far. Caleb Smallman with the last one scoring moments ago to tie this game, striking on a partial breakaway opportunity. And here comes the dangerous Western Rebels power play, 2nd in the league, as Ben Harris takes that puck, leaving it for his teammate Sam Surratt. Harris quarterback in this power play as the defender, and it's knocked out of play. Seth O'Leary on the chase against Harris. He usurped him there, and walking in, he tried to throw that up and over the shoulder by Hudson Lynch. A nifty little opportunity there by Seth O'Leary, but nothing too dangerous comes out of it for the Rebels, but Western will come back the other way. Entering the zone is Sam Surratt, the leading scorer in this hockey team, 3rd in the league in points, the highest scorer not wearing a St. John Vito's uniform in the league, as Brady Allison walks in looking for the centering pass to Tom McEwen, drops back to Harris out there with Surratt, goes to Hudson Pino on the far side point in front of the bench. McEwen throwing in the backhand. McEwen has a goal today on the power play. It's knocked up. It's a mad scramble in front of the Armada net, but it is up off a stick and into the mesh as a crowd forms after the whistle goes. In the middle of that is Brady Allison causing havoc for the Rebels here on this power play. Another minute and 3 seconds to go on this most recent man advantage for the home team. They're 1 for 4 today on the power play, as the second unit will now step on. There's the goal scorer, Caleb Smallman, winning that face-off for the Rebels. Daniel Pigeon goes cross-ice, the shot from distance. That's Ty Collins out there. Jamming away at it too is Smallman. He's knocked down and has to go to one knee. He'll get back up and win the puck battle in the corner. Hackla, the killer, jamming at him for the Armada, but it's over across the ice for Smallman, who was a little bit out of his reach. Comes back to Pigeon. Over on the close side, Ace Otway tried to force that toward the net. Otway will park himself over in front of the goal now. Winning back possession is Zach Goody, but he lost it again as pinning it along the boards is Cohen McNeil, the defender. He throws it there, although unopposed, and he got tangled up there, but his teammates will get it up and out of the zone as 18 seconds remain on this Rebels power play. The Killers will change up for the Armada, looking to fight out these final seconds of the 5-on-4 here. Ace Otway steps up over the ice, and that's right into the breadbasket of Austin Pickram, who will cover up for a much-needed whistle for these Armada Killers. As only 6 seconds remain until Jack Brady jumps out of the penalty box for Basin to kill off another penalty here. Basin with one of the best penalty kills in the league. 87.8%, good for 4th in the Nova Scotia Under-16 AAA Hockey League. And the face-off is won by the penalty killers here. Charlie Thompson, the defenseman, will take it himself right out in front of the Rebels bench. And the arm is up from the back official here. We're going to get a penalty. It's a spear, it appears. And just as the Basin Armada player got out of the box, Isaac Goody will head to the sin bin for the Western Rebels. And that indeed seems to be the call, a spearing double minor against the Western Rebels. It's a 4-minute penalty, a 4-minute power play, maybe for less, for the Basin Armada, who will get an excellent chance here with just about that much time remaining in the second period, with 3:57 on the clock here before the intermission. And almost all of that will be an Armada power play, who will get a great opportunity here on the man advantage. That's Cooper Makinen. He has a goal here this afternoon. So does Seth O'Leary, who now has the puck on the close side half wall. Makinen from distance, he scores! It's another one for Cooper Makinen, this one on the power play, and the Basin Armada retake the lead. It's 3-2. He stepped up on offense today from the blue line, providing those goals. The second of the afternoon for Cooper Makinen. His 6th of the campaign. And you really have to look out when he has the puck. Not only does he have that heavy shot from the back point, but he can make some dangles too. He scored both ways so far this afternoon as he gives his team back the lead, now up 3-2. So with that, the double minor penalty is reduced to a minor. Still another minute and 40 seconds that the Armada will be on the man advantage as Lucas Van Polges gets the puck back for the visiting team. It's Seth O'Leary back on the point. O'Leary goes across. Centering pass there intended for Van Polges. O'Leary has some room for a shot. Tried to go up high on Hudson Lynch, but he'll cover up, although it skipped off him the first time. An aggressive attempt there from O'Leary on the power play to try and bang in that rebound. But the power play unit will change up for the Armada, who are now holding on to a 3-2 lead. Moments ago, Cooper Makinen scoring his 2nd of the hockey game for Basin. Still another 2:58 to go in the second frame. Another minute 23 in this minor penalty to Isaac Goody of the Rebels. He took a 4-minute spearing penalty, but the first half of that penalty is washed out by that most recent goal from the Armada. As the Armada bang away at it, the puck was lying loose in the goal crease. As Basin keeps it in, here comes Joel Hakala. He's some room for a shot, and that's gloved away by Lynch. Kicking at it as Hakala gets it back. The Rebels penalty killers hanging on here. Hakala to the slot, broken up, and a good stick there by the Rebels penalty killers. For half a second there, Owen Chisholm was right on top of the puck trying to get that shot off for Basin on the power play, but he couldn't quite get it off as the Armada have to start up again in the neutral zone. They earned the zone entry here. Brady got it in. It's up over the head of Seb Surrett. It lands in front of him, though, and he'll throw it around the other side, but nobody was home on the point for the Armada, and they have to come back all the way around into their own zone with only 20 seconds remaining on this power play opportunity. 2-minute warning here in the second period. 1:49 left on the clock as it's shot down the length of the ice. The pass was intended for Seb Surrett of the Armada, but they'll have to come all the way back down into their own zone on the icing call. Caleb Smallman takes the draw in the O-zone for the Rebels, but loses it to Hakala, the centerman for the Armada. Basin gets it all the way down to the other zone. Up there, heavy forecheck by Seb Surrett as Isaac Goody steps back on the ice. It's 5-on-5, but they got it in deep. Waiting in front of the cage was DeBay. DeBay lets the shot go, and that's gloved away by Lynch. On the rebound, Surrett headed for the Armada, but lost it quickly as the Rebels get full strength back out there. It's a heavy shot from the point on the close side by Isaac Bungay of the Armada, but it is gobbled up by Lynch, who will force the face-off just to his left with a minute 17 remaining here. And an entertaining middle frame. Both teams have scored in the second period. Caleb Smallman head-tied the game about 6-7 minutes ago, tying it up at 2 on a partial break. But on that last power play from the Armada, Cooper Makinen struck for the second time in the hockey game to give the visitors a 3-2 lead with time ticking away in this afternoon hockey game here in Tyne Valley. Only a minute 11 left in the frame. Draw is won in the D zone by the Rebels, but they give it away. Here comes Lucas Van Polgeest around the net. He's examining his options here. Hits the brakes at the boards. Got it down for Devin DeBay. DeBay up for Makinen. On hat-trick watch from the blue line for Basin. Down into the corner, Mason Auld has it stuck in his feet as he is pinned to the board by a pair of Rebels, and walking out with it is Pam Polgeest on the wrap attempt and sliding across just in time to that post is Hudson Lynch, a big save. 38 seconds left in the frame. Armada keeping up the pressure. Lynch had to be alert on that one, sliding across to keep the puck out, and it's shot down the ice, and it will be an icing against the Western Rebels, so they can't change up yet. They'll have to survive this ensuing face-off all the way back down in their own zone as Basin gets some fresh players on. Trying to extend this lead perhaps a little more to head into the dressing room for the second intermission. They got 26 and a half seconds to do that. Seth O'Leary will come in to take the face-off for the attackers, and it's tied up there. O'Leary secures possession, gets the draw back. D-to-D pass over to McNeil, lets it go through traffic. Big save by Lynch, rebound, scores! Seth O'Leary strikes again. He has 2 on the afternoon, and with only 16.2 seconds left in the second period, it is a huge goal late in the period for the Basin Armada, who have had a knack this afternoon of scoring in the dying minutes of either the first or the second period, as Seth O'Leary has been finding a way to score and score again all weekend for the Basin Armada, and he will double their lead. Only minutes out from the second intermission here. O'Leary will stay on the ice as Ace Oatway walks in the zone, gets it up for Sam Surrett. They got some attackers here in the Rebels. Rebels trying to find an answer very late in the period, but as the buzzer is about to go, they're not going to find it, as for the second straight period, the Basin Armada come up with 2 late goals from the same 2 players, starting with Cooper Makinen on the power play, his second of the afternoon, to make it 3-2 for the Armada. And then with 16.2 seconds left in the period, it is once again Seth O'Leary banging in a loose puck on the back door on Hudson Lynch and net to make it 4-2 for the visiting Armada. They're 20 minutes out from earning a hard-earned 2 points on the road here, but still another period to play here in Tyne Valley when we come back after the flood here in the second intermission. So stick around here as we return in about 10 minutes for the third period here on High Button Sports between the Basin Armada and the Western Rebels here in Tyne Valley. And welcome back to Tyne Valley for the third period in this matinee matchup between the Basin Armada and the Western Rebels, closing out their weekend doubleheader here in Tyne Valley PEI. And after 40 minutes of play, the Basin Armada have doubled their lead to 4-2. The Rebels had briefly tied it in the second period, but again, the Armada struck twice in the dying minutes of the frame to give them the lead that they're holding onto going into the third period. And just like in the first, Cooper Makinen, the defender for the Armada, striking on the power play, to be followed moments later by Seth O'Leary. O'Leary scored with only 16 seconds left in the middle frame to make it 4-2 for the visiting Armada. Basin trying to come home with some points on this weekend doubleheader on the road in Tyne Valley. They lost last night to the host Rebels by a 5-1 score, a very entertaining game. And this too is a very entertaining game. Lots of scoring so far, 6 goals through 2 periods, as well as some solid goaltending and timely saves at times from both netminders. As we get underway here for the third frame, the host Rebels in the black and green uniforms to your left, with the Armada in the road whites to your right. As right off the draw, Seth O'Leary on hat-trick watch for the Basin Armada as Basin gets it in deep to the zone here early on the fresh sheet of ice in the third period. It's Seth O'Leary works it back to Makinen on the point. Cross ice to Bungay. Here's the shot, and that's gloved away by the goaltender Hudson Lynch. Quickly on the rebound is O'Leary trying to fling that across on the centering pass, and now slapping at his own Chisholm. But that goes wide as well as the Rebels finally get it out of the zone here, as it's an good opening 40-second shift to begin the third period for the Armada, trying to set the tone here and head back to Bedford with 2-point potentially. But they say about the 4-2 lead, the 2-goal lead, the most dangerous lead in hockey, as Cooper Makinen works it up across the red line and then the blue into the zone. We've seen him maneuver like that all game long, as Joel Hakla of Basin tried to follow that up on the rebound, but it was off a skate and off the glass and wide. Fougere lost his stick on the defensive zone attempt up toward the middle of the ice as Fougere goes on chase going the other way, but he does not catch the Rebels defender coming back, and that'll force an icing call as Basin gets off to a strong start here to begin the third period, trying to set the tone and trying to put this game away as early as they can here in the third period. But the Rebels will get a big offensive zone face-off thrown on that top line led by Samuel Surrett, taking the draw for Western. As it comes back to Ty Collins at the point, it hits a body in front and comes to a stop toward the face-off dot. Comes back to Collins for a moment, but spurts out of the zone as Zach Fougere takes it out. He's going in one-on-one. Ty Collins comes back on the back check with Hakla there. Oh, looking for that centering pass to Sebi Surrett of the Armada, but it's off a skate. It wasn't quite on his tape. And Basin will have to reset out toward their own zone, as Sam Surrett for the Rebels gets it up to Joe Arsenault. Coaches shuffling up the line here a little bit for Western here early in this third period. Ace Oatway out there, the first guy in on the forecheck, as Basin looks to clear that out of the zone, but that rolls off the stick of Connor Hudson of the Rebels. Hudson will now chase it down into the corner, going one-on-one against Charlie Thompson. The Armada defender comes all the way up to center ice, picked off by Noy. Walking in is Brody Noy, tries to go in one-on-one against Lyndon Todd, but Todd of the Armada will knock it down, making it an easy cover-up for Austin Pickram, and they will have the face-off over to Pickram's left. These teams will meet one more time here this season, at least one more time, once more in the regular season, when the Rebels make the trip to Bedford on January 25th to play the Armada at the Greenfoot Energy Center. Devin DeBay walks in, tried to go short side on Hudson Lynch, sticked aside off the paddle of Lynch. as a Rebel blew a tire. That was Luke McGilvery trying to get that puck out, but he was taken down. McGilvery still got it up the center ice, and that is dumped in by Zach Goody, and he'll take on the chase as his teammates go for a change. Around the boards for Mason Auld. Auld on the 1-2 touch. Back to McGilvery at center ice. He'll dump it back in and is knocked down again as Auld takes it out for the Armada. Both teams completing line changes as Hudson Pino will take it in the zone, trying to catch them on the change, but it's broken up by some fresh legs. Here comes Seth O'Leary. O'Leary, 2 goals on the afternoon, lets it go from the perimeter, and that is padded aside. An easy save for Hudson Lynch along the ice. Out for Pino. Hudson Pino will get it up and out of the zone, but it's taken away in the neutral zone by the Armada, trapping the Rebels in there. Back down to Daniel Pigeon, wearing number 88 in the black uniform. Going for that cross ice clear, was looking for his winger Tobin McEwen, but only got it as far as the close side point before the Armada maintained possession of the zone. Shot from distance from Cooper Makinen. That's up and wide of the net. Walking in is Chisholm, trying to use Pigeon as a screen, but it's up off the glass and it's out of the reach of Makinen, and the Armada have to go all the way back down to their own zone. The Rebels a change. 15:45 remaining in the third period. Intercepted skating in is Samuel Surrett. He tried to take advantage of that opportunity, but he stripped of the puck. Now leading the rush back up the other way. That's Jack Brady across ice. O'Leary has time for the shot. Second attempt after the block and threw it right through the blue paint and out of harm's way for now anyway. Owen Chisholm knocked off the puck. Here comes Seth O'Leary. Backhand pass looking for Bungie. And intercepted in the zone. Coming back out with it is Ace Oatway leading the rush. He's joined by Joe Arsenault driving the net, but no rebound puck will come out that time as Austin Pickram scoops it up, and Oatway will go down behind the net. He had collided with Lyndon Todd, the defenseman for the Armada, behind the net. There'll be a face-off, and falling down behind the play is Joel Hakala. He had collided with Oatway, who's on his way off the ice. Oatway is going right to the penalty box on that one, as Hakala fell backwards. And it's going to be a penalty against the Western Rebels. And the Armada going back to the power play here. They're 1 for 3 this afternoon. Cooper Makinen scored on the man advantage late in the second period. That was the 3-2 goal. Face-off will be to the left of Hudson Lynch. Seth O'Leary taking the draw and winning it for the Armada. Starting off this power play. 2 minutes charged to Ace Oatway on that penalty, and the shot is just wide of the net. Look to take a tip. The shot originating from the stick of O'Leary. Makinen camped out at the top of the slot. Passed over by Devin DeBay, going cross ice to O'Leary. O'Leary up to Makinen, down low for DeBay. Devin DeBay, the shot from Makinen from distance. That's a hard one up and over the net. Camped in front is Zach Fougere, wearing number 10, playing the net front position here on the man advantage. Down to get that is Lucas Van Polgeest, playing down below the goal line there for the most part. Seth O'Leary on the first side walks in, and he blasts that one on the wrister over the net, and Makinen can't quite hold the line there as the Armada have to start over. O'Leary patiently waits, and they'll break back in after almost losing the puck. It's Fougere going around the net, but he's knocked off the puck. Up for Makinen, who holds the line for the Armada. Another 55 seconds going this power play. Centering pass from O'Leary. That was intended out front for Devin DeBay. Out front to DeBay again. DeBay let that shot go. That's off a leg. O'Leary recovers at the hash marks and far side. Makinen top of the slot. What a block there. That's a gutsy one for Connor Hudson, the penalty killer for the Rebels. And that will buy his teammates some time to go for a change and some valuable time off this penalty as Zach Fougere leads the break in for the Armada. He takes a hit along the boards. Ty Collins takes him down. Walking around the net is DeBay, examining his options. Some players on this Armada power play may change, but Fougere stays out there. The pass centering out front for Chisholm. Rolls wide. He didn't get all of his shot on that one, and it rolls wide. Holding that in the corner is Devin DeBay. He's tired at the end of the shift, and that will be just enough to free up Ace Oatway from the penalty box, and the Armada will step in over offside. It's a huge kill for the Western Rebels in their comeback bid in this hockey game, as 13 minutes and 6 seconds remain in the frame. The Armada hanging on to a 2-goal lead here, roughly midway through the third period in Tyne Valley. The Rebels will be back here again next weekend on Saturday. They welcome their island rivals, the Eastern Dukes, to Tyne Valley. A building that both teams are very familiar with the Dukes and the Rebels meeting every year in the Prince Edward Island final here. The shot from distance, that was from Luke McGillivray, went off a shin pad from an Armada defender. A big hit along the boards. That was Charlie Thompson throwing that in behind the net and forces a turnover to his Armada teammates. Coming up the ice, here comes Auld. Mason Auld takes that in. He's first to the puck, pressure by McGillivray. A vicious one-on-one battle ensuing over there as Surrett is back there to help for the Rebels. Samuel Surrett secures possession of the puck. It's a hard-fought one-on-one there too. A relentless forecheck there by Sebastian Surrett of the Basin Armada. And Basin gets the puck back at their own blue line. Coming out with it is Cohen McNeil. McNeil walk around on the one-hand backhand. And he'll walk over the line, but a step offside was his teammate Mason Auld. And the face-off will come on outside in front of the Rebels bench in the neutral zone. Winning that draw is Seth O'Leary. Gets it back to his teammate, who will dump that in, blowing a tire behind the net and giving it away. That was Ben Phillips falling down for the Rebels, trying to get that puck out. Connor Hudson out for the Western Rebels. Down to Phillips, his teammate, and Hudson will pick it up and skate in the zone. Dodges a pair of Armada players. Tried to walk in on the backhand, but finally a stick got in there. And going in on the clear, that's gotta hurt. Cohen McNeil was chipping it out. Goes off the back of his coach on the bench. McNeil went straight over to check on him, make sure he wasn't shaken up too bad. But he looks to be all right. Over on the bench, that never feels good, especially if you don't have the equipment on like the players do. The face-off will come into the Armada zone and is won by Basin, waiting for that clear on the other side. Owen Chisholm takes a massive hit, and it's going to be a penalty charged to Phillips of the Rebels. He threw a huge hit there along the boards, and he's going to go to the box for it. We'll see what the call is. It's a charging minor. Charge to Ben Phillips. And for another 2 minutes, the Armada will go back to the power play. It'll be their 5th opportunity on the man advantage this afternoon. They're 1 for 4. Cooper Makinen quarterbacking this power play for Basin. He scored once on the man advantage today and another time earlier in the first period. Makinen leads the way, cutting through center ice, going far side for Van Polgeest. Lucas Van Polgeest down below the goal line. He's knocked over by a Rebels defender there. Ben Harris out there, one of the killers for Western. Got it far side for Devin DeBay. DeBay up for Makinen, top of the slot. Lets a hard snapper go right to Hakala. Joel Hakala had it lost in his feet though, and he has to get it back to Makinen at the point. He'll look over his options, pressured closely there by Caleb Smallman. Hakala lets it go, he scores! Joel Hakala gets it through the screen, and that's a dagger for the Basin Armada as they strike again on the power play. It's 5-2. Joel Hakala fires that through a crowd. It didn't look like Hudson Lynch saw that puck coming in as he went high blocker on him, almost knocking that water bottle off. A well-placed shot by number 34 for this Basin Armada team. Hakla is third on team scoring with 15 points in 16 games. He actually just tied DeBay for point scoring with his 16th of the season. It's his 7th goal of the campaign, though. And that one makes it a 3-goal lead for the Armada here on the road. A big third period goal for them. And the Rebels themselves have a big hole to dig out of here in this Sunday afternoon game at home. Trying to avoid their first home loss in roughly a month and a half. They haven't lost a game here in Tyne Valley in any situation since November 2nd. They lost to the Martello Buccaneers that day by a 6-5 score. And now they find themselves down by 3 to the Basin Armada, who are only a point behind them in the standings right now. Some chippiness going on down there in the Rebel zone. Some high hits and shoves of all kinds as Seth O'Leary throws a hit on Noy in the neutral zone. As Brady breaks out with it the other way, it's a 2-on-1 for the Armada. Here comes Jack Brady. He has the stick knocked up off his hands, and the net is knocked off, and it's a tangle up over in the corner. That was Hudson Lynch, the goaltender, fed up with the situation. He was wrapping his hand up around the head of Owen Chisholm, who was laying down the net and trying to get up and out of the situation. As the net is knocked off, and we'll see a face-off down the Rebel zone once the teams change up. 9:24 left on the clock here in the third period. Just moments ago, a big goal for Joel Hakla of the Basin Armada, making it 5-2, striking on the power play there. A good late third period cushion here for Basin, trying to wrap up this doubleheader with 2 points. Lucas Van Polgeest had the puck for Basin. Will get it up to his teammate Mason Auld. He's going to take a bump there, and it's turned over to Daniel Pigeon, trying to get it out for the Western Rebels. Comes to center ice. Shot back in the other way in reverse by Carter Pino. Coming on out with it on the dump in. Ace Oatway gets it in down low for Western. Trying to find an answer here against the Armada, who have scored 3 unanswered goals dating back to late in the second period. That was Connor Hudson right on top of the net for Western. Looking for that rebound. Austin Pickram not letting anything go, though. Covering up all he can. With less than 9 minutes to go here in regulation, Tyne Valley. Brady Allison out to take the face-off for Western. They win the draw. Here's the shot from Pino, and that does not get all the way through. Phillips is back to pick that up for Western, but instead Fougere will break in. Fougere lets the shot go. That's kicked aside by Hudson Lynch. A big save there. This point in the game. Here's the goal scorer, Hakala. Tried to get that shot off, but it is off a stick and up and into the mesh here in Tyne Valley. We'll get a face-off in the Rebel zone. The draw will come to the right of Hudson Lynch, with Hakala taking the draw in the O zone for Basin. And he'll force it up ahead and over and throws a hit on Collins. And he's going to go down. It's going to be a penalty. Got that one up high, and a scrum will ensue over in the corner. The players and the linesmen very quickly are going to jump in. Going down on that play was Ty Collins. Collins not an easy player to take down ever, and he went right down after that one. It looks like it's going to be at least a penalty against the Basin Armada. Collins very unhappy. One of the assistant captains for this Rebels team kicking at the puck as he heads up toward the bench. As the linesmen will escort players apart over in the corner, but the shoving isn't quite done yet as the official blows a whistle in front of the Western net. There's players from both teams going to the box. One of them is Ty Collins for the Rebels. The other, Joel Hakala, for the Armada, who had thrown that initial hit. But the scrum ensued after the whistle had gone. We'll see what the referees muster up for calls here. The officials will speak in front of the time bench. Both teams will take a quick break here. 8:19 left in regulation play here in Tyne Valley, barring a big Rebels comeback. They're down by 3, though. Mackinnon, one of the assistant captains for the Armada, over talking with the officials, trying to get the lowdown what the call will be. The face-off will be down the western zone by the looks of things, but the officials are still talking it over with the players and the coaches. The draw is outside rather in the neutral zone. And as it turns out, play will remain at 5-on-5. As both Collins for the Rebels and Hakala for the Armada go to the box. And diving for that puck, that took a strange bounce on Hudson Lynch after the whistle. Players aren't quite done with Jack Brady of the Armada. After the signal from the referee, though, he takes a couple of shoves. No further harm done, though, and the players will redo the face-off this time in the Western Rebels zone. While the Rebels will take a trip to Bedford to play the Armada one more time. They'll play at the Ice Jam here in a couple of weeks too. And now there's a pile-up over in the corner to the left of the goaltender. Lots of players are pulling at each other. It's a huge scrum. Almost everybody on the ice into that one as some emotions are starting to pile over for both teams. Seth O'Leary of the Armada is right in the middle of that one. His helmet came off in that skirmish. One Armada player went straight to the box. Owen Chisholm already sitting in the box for Basin. I'd imagine we'll get another player or two here from one team or another going that way as well. Referees will talk over the offenses in front of the timekeeper's bench again. We've had a couple of these stoppages here in the past minute. See what that turns into. The penalty box opens back up again for Basin, and Seth O'Leary will step in. As mentioned, the Rebels will play again against the Basin Armada in about a month's time in Bedford on January 25th. That'll be their final regular season meeting. But the Rebels, along with the Armada, who will serve as the host, will all be in Bedford on the weekend of January 7th, very early on into the new year, for the annual East Coast Ice Jam tournament. That action you can catch here on High Button Sports. This year including U15, U16, and U18 male action, as well as the U18 female tournament taking place. Instead of in Bedford, though, that will take place under the Ice Jam banner at the Rath Eastlink Community Center in Truro, about a 45-minute drive up the highway from the Halifax suburbs. No additional penalties have been added up under the board yet. Until just a moment ago, there has been an additional minor, it appears, charged to the Armada. Owen Chisholm is the player guilty of that extra penalty. And the Rebels, after all of that chaos, will come out of it with a big power play opportunity here with time running out for them. But they win, or rather they lose the draw here. The Armada winning that defensive zone face-off to begin their penalty kill. The Rebels have one power play goal today coming off the stick of Tobin McEwen, and that's McEwen who's entering the zone on the puck right now. Will curl it back and leaves it back off for his teammate Allison. Comes all the way back around the other side for Samuel Surrett. Surratt in front of the bench will skate into the circle. Crossways for Pino. Lets the shot go. Oh, what a block there. That was a gutsy one from the defenseman Lyndon Todd laying out to block that shot. Pino goes over to Ben Harris at the top of the slot, quarterbacking this Rebels power play. Down in the corner for Brady Allison. Allison comes in around the net the other side to Hudson Pino. Pino looks out front looking for that backdoor feed intended for Samuel Surratt, but it is broken up. A good read by the Armada penalty killers, and they'll dump it down the ice and earn themselves a change. 55 seconds left on this most recent Rebels power play. Pino at the end of a shift will dump it in and send his teammates on a chase, on the dump and chase. Tobin McEwen is the first guy there, but is unable to hold the puck into the zone for the Rebels, and they'll have to start again all the way back behind their own net. Brody Noy will start things out on this breakout. Pursued very closely there by Jack Brady of the Armada on this penalty kill. Dumped in by Joe Arsenault. In pursuit is Connor Hudson. Hudson pins the defender Cohen McNeil up against the boards and comes out with the puck. Still another 14 seconds on this power play, but the Armada masterfully playing this penalty kill. Get the puck out with little harm done here. Isaac Goody almost stripped the puck there to break into the Armada zone, but not much else as Basin will come back down the other way. Cohen McNeil takes it in. He had room for a shot, but he's knocked off the puck. McNeil on the second attempt tried to wrap around. Taken down in front of the net was his teammate DeBay as the Rebels, although not scoring on that power play, tried to get something going down on the other end. Down by 3, and now with less than 6 minutes to play in this hockey game as DeBay takes the puck away. A defensive zone turnover by the Rebels as that one just missed the net. The Armada can't hold the zone as McNeil retreats to the neutral zone for the Armada, but will skate it back in himself. He's going to go down a stick in the wrong spot for the Rebels, and that was a close opportunity there by DeBay. He had a couple shots there. The arm is in the air. The Rebels are going to take a penalty here. Over to Pino. Shoots, and that is knocked away. It looked like it hit his teammate in front of the net, and the Rebels finally touch up the stop play. It's going to be a tripping minor against somebody on the Rebels. It was Cohen McNeil going in. He had a very good shift there, the big defenseman for the Basin Armada. Not only a solid presence in his own end all game, but he had a couple looks, let a shot go breaking into the zone earlier on that shift and tried to do it again on the other side. And that time he was tripped up. It's Ben Phillips who will take the penalty on that tripping minor there. And again, the Armada, who have been very good on the man advantage here this afternoon. They've scored twice, including the most recent goal from Joel Hakala. Hakala is the centerman on this first unit for the Basin Armada. Comes back to Cooper Makinen. He has 2 today. He's joined out there by Isaac Bungay, his defense partner. Over to the far side in front of the Rebels bench to Hakala, and that is off a stick in front, and jumping on top of that is Hudson Lynch, who's made some timely saves today, but unable to hold off an offensive outburst by the Armada here this afternoon, who have struck 5 times in this hockey game, and at this point look all but sure to head back to Bedford here this afternoon with 2 points heading into Christmas. Still another 4.5 minutes to play here, though, as the Armada win another draw. Bungay is going to hold the line as that one came around on the rim on the boards with heat. Crossways for Joel Hakala up top for Makinen. Lets the shot through the screen go, and that is off the boards, and it trickles back over to Hudson Lynch. He'll cover up in the glove, and will force another face-off just to his left with 1:26 left in this most recent Basin Armada power play. Hakala back in the face-off dot. He's been very good there this afternoon for Basin. Will win another face-off. Big game for the centerman for the Armada, who lets a shot through traffic, and finding it somehow was Lynch for the save. Back to Bungay as the Armada hold the line. Bungay at the top of the slot goes for Makinen at the point. Tried to let it go up over the blocker of Lynch, but it missed the net, but not by much. Bungay back over the Hakala. Lets the shot go from distance. That's off a stick on the rebound. Oh, stretching across. That was an excellent save by Lynch on Sebi Surratt of the Armada. Trying to make it 6-2 there. Makinen lets that shot go. The stick of Joe Arsenault, the killer for the Rebels, well placed, forces the shot wide. Now in behind the net, that's Fougere for the Armada. Got it back to Hakla. Now up to Bungay at the top of the slot. Lets it go. It's a hard, low one, but that's off a skate and wide of the net. Fougere still with it. 30 seconds to go on this relentless Armada power play. It's off a body in front. Deflects back over into the corner. Skating out of the corner with his Seb Surratt. Bungay leaves it for Makinen. Centering pass for Hakala. It's behind him. He has to circle back. Hakala looking at his options. He has some time and some space. That's broken up. Holding the line is Bungay. 10 seconds left on the power play. Armada trying to find some room, and that is off a glove and way up into the rafters here at the Cavendish Farms Community Event Center, and it's into the crowd after that one, as the Rebels endure that test on the penalty kill. Only 3 seconds left in this most recent penalty charge to Ben Phillips of the Rebels. He's ready to jump out of the box as the Armada power play is about to expire in the dying minutes of this third period here in Tyne Valley. Ace Otway taking the defensive zone draw for Western, going up against Devin DeBay of the Armada. The Armada will pin into the zone as we return to 5-on-5 action here. And that is taken away. Isaac Goody had the puck for a millisecond coming out of the zone. It's enough to clear it out of their end as the Rebels try to force it up the other way. Ace Otway chips it up off the glass and takes a check from DeBay, and will force the turnover. And we'll have another penalty coming up. It's an interference call, and it looks like DeBay, after throwing that hit on Ace Otway, will head to the box for 2 minutes or less. It's a late power play here for the Rebels in what is now an improbable comeback bid. You never know once you pop a goal or two. And what better forum to test this in than on the power play, which has looked good at times for the Rebels. They had one power play here early in the third period in which they were handled pretty good there by the Armada penalty kill. Western will try to change that up, though, with time very quickly ticking down here in Tyne Valley as Hudson Pino waits at the close side hash marks. All the way across the ice, there's Samuel Surratt. Didn't let the shot go, instead dropped it back to his defenseman, Ben Harris. Harris walks around, going other side for Hudson Pino. He has some time and space. Looking for the shot. Now the back door to Surratt, but the shot is out of his reach, and it trickles on over to Jack Brady, who will knock that down the ice for Basin. First guy back was Pino for the Rebels. Stretch pass up for Brady Allison. Allison enters the zone, dropping back for Tobin McEwen. McEwen at the hash marks and couldn't drop it back for Pino. It's out of his reach, and Jack Brady is the first guy to the puck down the other ice for the Armada penalty killers. He's going to pin it down the boards, trying to just run out the clock as we eclipse the 2-minute mark here of the third period here in Tyne Valley. Armada still up by a comfortable 5-2 lead with a minute left on this power play for Western. With the win here, Basin will move back into fourth place in the Nova Scotia Under-16 AAA Hockey League standings. That'll bring them 2 points behind the third place Eastern Dukes. But both teams will come out of the weekend with 2 of a possible 4 points. In terms of competition, the abilities of these two teams are as close as it gets in this league. Very evenly matched teams, although the Rebels have won both games before in the season heading into today's matchup. As that is gloved down by Isaac Goody from the corner. He hit the crossbar with that one. He tried to sneak a cheeky one in up high toward Austin Pickram's head, but is off the bar and out. Down the corner, a row ensues with Zach Goody pushing up against Carter Pino. Pino trying to kill off the rest of this penalty. Only 5 seconds left in the Rebels power play, and a couple of players go down in the corner. It's Zach Goody right in the midst of it with Pino. Both referees have their hands in the air for that one. It's going to be a head contact penalty. We'll see who it comes against, but only 48 seconds remain on the clock here in this hockey game. It's Zach Goody going to the penalty box there. For the Rebels, Pino went as well. For the Armada, coincidental minors, that will run out the remainder of this hockey game. Rebels still have 2 seconds left on this power play. About to return to 5-on-5 as Devin DeBay prepares to jump out of the sin bin for the Armada. Road wins haven't always been easy for the Basin Armada this season. They're heading into this game 5-5 away from home. They've only lost 6 games this year out of 19 games, but 5 of those have come away from the Greenfoot Energy Center in Bedford. So it's a hard-earned road win for the Armada, making the nearly 4-hour drive from the Halifax area. Meanwhile, the Rebels will lose their first game in Tyne Valley since November 2nd. Almost 2 months since that has happened for this Rebels team, the defending champions, the defending Atlantic champions here. As from the far side, that was Tobin McEwen trying to get a shot off. The Rebels maybe trying to find another late goal here. It's a little chippy for all the teams right now as Pigeon gloves the puck down the neutral zone. But the Armada will clear and try to wind down this clock here as they will step back into 4th place in the Nova Scotia Under-16 AAA Hockey League standings. A big road win, and the Armada will come home with 2 of a possible 4 points, heading into Christmas as in a tight-fought matchup here this weekend. The Armada win the second half of this weekend doubleheader in Tyne Valley. They come away with a 5-2 win. Seth O'Leary and Cooper Mackinnon contributing 2 goals each, followed up with a third period marker by Joel Hakala. And a big game in net, only allowing 2 goals. Austin Pickeram picking up his 7th win of the campaign between the pipes for the Basin Armada, as they had a tough one last night, Saturday night here in Tyne Valley. The Rebels had won that game 5-1 and ran up the score late. But waking up for this Sunday afternoon matinee, the Armada take care of business and head back for the long bus trip home, happy here from Tyne Valley. It's a 5-2 final in favor of the Armada here from Tyne Valley. Well, thanks for joining us here on High Button Sports. My name is Luke Diamond. It's been a pleasure being a part of this game with you here this afternoon. Merry Christmas from me and the folks here at High Button, and we will see you on the other side of the holiday here. Good afternoon for now from Tyne Valley.